Good evening. The meeting of the Monroe Township Board of Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, Mr. Gorski?
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Here.
Mr. Chiarella?
Here.
Mr. Braverman?
Here.
Mr. Kaufman?
Present.
Mr. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Leary is absent. Mr. Masters?
Here.
Mr. Tesler?
Here, and I think you forgot Amy.
Ms. Santellis?
Here.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Here.
Madam Board President, you have a forum.
Thank you. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Public Open Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted June 15, 2011, 1 at all schools, 2 Home News Tribune, 3 Cranberry Press, and 4 filed with the clerk of the municipality. We have a very big agenda today, so we are going to start with the presentation of the Monroe Education Foundation grants. I will turn this over to Mr. Ira Tesler, who is the president of the Monroe Education Foundation.
Thank you, Kathy. In addition to serving on the Board of Ed, I'm also president of the Monroe Ed Foundation. And for those who you may not know, the Monroe Ed Foundation is a non-for-profit organization in town, and our mission is very simple. We inspire lifelong learning. We do that by raising money, and once a year, we get to give out teacher grants. That's the majority of the way we give out our money, among some other things. So tonight, we are going to present our teachers' grants, and I guess I would also like to thank the members of the Monroe Education Foundation who are here tonight. If you're here, just raise your hand. Anybody? Yeah. Okay, we got Kristen Miller back there. We also have Amy Antelis, who serves, and Kathy Kay as well. So actually, Amy, since you're closer, if you want to kind of hold these for me, give me a hand. No. All right, our first grant recipient goes to Woodland School. It's Weather in Action, Nicholas Reinhold. And this is actually going to provide additional updated equipment for the weather bug over at Woodland School. A couple new displays and some new hardware. So look for that coming soon when you visit. Yeah, these are all. I'm sorry. One grant. Some are from multiple teachers. Next grant is for Barclay Brook School. It's for Uncovering the Mysteries of the Galaxy, second grade shooting for the stars. We've been doing this for quite a few years, and basically part of the second grade curriculum is learning about the solar system. So what we've been doing is we funded this grant, which a gentleman comes in and provides a portable planetarium, which the kids get to go in and have a presentation. And it's just like going to the Hayden Planetarium or whatever it's called now in New York, but a lot smaller. It's portable. They get to go in the gym. They get to learn all about the stars, and it's a great time for them. And the two teachers are Kristen Miller and Patty Dinsmore. And this is actually for the entire second grade over at Barclay Brook. So congratulations. Next, also at Barclay Brook School, strong readers make confident students. Pam Tutoriello, and I'm not going to even botch his name. Can you read that? Kavita Taneja. I apologize because I am the worst at pronouncing names, so congratulations. Congratulations, thank you. All right, another one for Barclay Brook. This represents the entire kindergarten over at Barclay Brook. It's called Penguins on Parade. Part of their curriculum is also learning about penguins over at Barclay Brook in kindergarten. And this is a grant where Jenkinson's Aquarium actually comes in and brings penguins in. And the the recipients are Sarah Richards, Melissa Cortina, Lisa McHugh, Ashley Pepe, Catherine Hefcott, Sarah Richards, and that's it. Those are the entire kindergarten over at Barclay Brook School. Accepting is Lisa McHugh. Thank you. Congratulations. In addition to Barclay Brook studying the solar system, we have another grant for Mill Lake. And it's similar. They bring in a planetarium, and also Mill Lake this year is bringing in an astronomer that can teach them lessons about the solar system to the children. And the award goes to Denise Quinn, Cynthia Cook, Christina Melhorn, Tamara Lopez, and that's it. Accepting on behalf of the second grade, on behalf of the teachers, is Dr. Barberi. I have to get used to saying that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
A program we've co-funded for many, many years. It's become a staple over at Barclay Brook, and the second graders look forward to it. I know two of my three children got to participate into it, is Circus Around the World. And we co-fund that with some other grants that we received. So, Dana Walker. Congratulations. And last but not least, over at Applegarth School, authentic assessment using portfolios, Bonnie Crisco and Sibel Posner. And a couple shameless plugs. In order to give all these grants, we have to raise money somehow. We are having our annual golf outing on July 12th over at the Forest Gate Country Club. Can't speak tonight. If you would like to find out more information to participate or to buy a T-sign, just go to our website, monroeedfoundation.org. All the information's there. We would love for you to come and join us. It's a wonderful day. Also, each school has a giving tree. We sell, the one is right out here if you want to take a look on your way out, but we sell a leaf on that giving tree for $100, and you can inscribe your child's name, your business's name, whatever you want, as long as it's decent, on it. And we also have a special gun. You can buy all the schools for $500, so you can leave a legacy to the school. So that's an ongoing fundraiser we've been doing for several years now, and we look forward to putting a brand new tree up in the brand new high school when it opens. This past spring, winter, we had a basketball game, the teachers versus the police. Teachers won, yay. No, shh. The teachers and actually the police department would like a revenge grudge match, and we look forward to having a softball game, I believe the first weekend in September. Again, the teachers versus the police to raise money for the foundation. So again, if you would like to also help us, we could use some help. It's very, very tough to join the foundation. You just have to show up to a meeting. We meet at Brookside School in the library. Our next meeting is Monday. And again, check the website for any information. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Tesler. And I also would like to extend my thanks to the Monroe Education Foundation for all you do to support our education. You enhance our programs and you work with us, and we thank you for your support.
Thank you very much, and I'd just like to hand over the check for $10,500 to Mr. Gorski.
Oh, that's always helpful. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Hamilton to assist me in recognizing our support staff who we're going to honor this evening. This is a group of people who work in our district and whom we could not survive without them. So we will go there. This time, I'm going to read the resolution, and I'm going to read the first one and then just give you the names of the other schools' recognizers. Whereas the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, has been apprised of the following. Kevin McDermott from Woodland School. Be it resolved by the Board of Education, Township of Monroe, County of Middlesex, in the State of New Jersey, that the said Board of Education hereby wishes to acknowledge Kevin McDermott as the Support Staff of the Year and the Board's appreciation for his services, and whereas it is desired to express recognition for his years of faithful service. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe that it does hereby express its warm appreciation and heartfelt thanks for the dedicated and faithful service in the performance of his duties as head custodian and of the integrity with which he continues to carry out his responsibilities. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this Board of Education and that a copy of it be given to Kevin McDermott. Passed unanimously by the Township Monroe Board of Education at its regular meeting of June 15, 2011. Mr. McDermott.
Dr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Kathy, just let you know, as I mentioned Woodland School, but Kevin's been working with me diligently for 3 years at Oakland.
Oh,
Just to let you know.
thank you.
That makes him really good.
We will make sure that we change the resolution and that you get a new one. So instead of reading these all 7 times, I'm just going to read the name of the person, John Emerson, Woodland School, for his years of service as head custodian. And I apologize if I mispronounced the name. Donna Riff-Gogol from Barclay Brook School for her support in her duties as a paraprofessional. Our next one is Denise Jimenez from Mill Lake School as her years of service as a secretary at Mill Lake School. Our next one, for her years of service as a paraprofessional at Applegarth Schools, Rosa Pierron. Thank you. Our next recipient, for his years of service as his duties as a network operations manager for Brookside School, Elliot Feldman. Congratulations. Our next one is secretary at Monroe Township High School. We'd like to congratulate Andrea Benevento. Accepting is Ms. Karen Castaldo.
Thank you very much. You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Now we're going to switch and we're going to honor our retirees, some of these people I know that I have worked in the district with, probably going back to 1987. Many of our board members have had the opportunity to work with these people. We'd like to congratulate you and wish you success on your future, and we will definitely miss all of you here in Monroe. I'm going to read the resolution for the first one, and then we'll let you know the rest. Whereas the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, has been apprised of the retirement of Carol Blotto, paraprofessional, Woodland School. Be it resolved by the Board of Education, Township of Monroe, County of Middlesex, in the state of New Jersey, that the said Board of Education wishes to acknowledge its appreciation for the service rendered to the students and citizens of Monroe Township by Carol Blatto, who is retiring as of July 1st, 2011. Whereas it is desired to express recognition for the many years of faithful service, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe that it does hereby express its warm appreciation and heartfelt thanks for the dedicated and faithful service in the performance of her duties, as a paraprofessional and of the integrity with which she carried out her responsibilities, and regrets the loss of such a respected employee. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this Board of Education, and that a copy of it be given to Carol Blatto. Passed unanimously by the Township of Monroe Board of Education at its regular meeting, June 15, 2011. Carol? Our next retiree, teacher of Spanish at the Monroe Township High School, Gertrude Campo. Monroe Township High School, School Secretary, Dolores McLean. Teacher of grade 2 at Barclay Brook School, and a teacher of one of my children many, many years ago. Well, not that many. Barbara Caliandro. Teacher of Special Education for Barclay Brook School, Amy Chait.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
School nurse for Barclay Brook School, and one who's put many Band-Aids on my 3 children, Mary Ann Monona. Yes. The head custodian at Woodland School, John Emerson. Teacher of Industrial Arts at the Monroe Township High School, Robert Carlson.
Congratulations.
Assistant Principal, Monroe Township High School, Anthony Josefowitz.
Congratulations. Good luck. Good luck.
They'd have it. That's it. We have one more. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Rena Delacchia to please come here. Come up. Rena has been our student board member for the last 2 years, someone who has been involved with us, and we appreciate all that you have done to be a part of our Board of Education. I believe Rena will be attending Nova Southeastern Florida University. You will be majoring in psychology, And some of the things that she's been involved in as a member of the high school, the National Honor Society, the French Honor Society, Student Council, Peer Leadership, SBLA, DECA, the Multicultural Club. So we'd like to honor you with a plaque presented to Ms. Rena Delakia in sincere appreciation for dedicated service to the students and schools of Monroe Township while serving as a student board member of the Township of Monroe Board of Education from 2009 to 2011, and we'd like to wish you continued success. My computer is off. Okay, as soon as my computer boots up, we'll be able to do this again.
Number 9.
I have to do this. Okay, at this time, we will go to our public forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Since we have such a big... Oh, I'm sorry. After we recognized Rena, I forgot to let her speak. So we will go to our student board members' reports.
Okay. Good evening. To start, this Friday, June 17th, Applegarth is holding its 8th grade awards in the Applegarth Gymnasium at 9:30 a.m. Also on Friday, the 8th grade formal dance will be held at Oak Tree School at 7 p.m. The 8th grade moving up ceremony will be held June 22nd at 6:30 p.m. in the MTHS gym. Excuse me. As for Brookside, the 6th grade moving up ceremony will be held in the Barclay Brook Gymnasium at 9:45 a.m.
Mill Lake's 3rd grade spring concert will be tomorrow. Woodland's 6th grade moving up ceremony will be held on June 22nd at 9:30 a.m. in the Woodland Gymnasium. Lastly, all schools have half-days next week, and Thursday, June 23rd is the last day of school along with the MTHS graduation. Also, I wanted to just say a thanks to the Board of Ed. I really valued this experience, even though I missed a couple of meetings and I felt really badly about it. This was really a valuable experience for me, and I can take this on with me in my future and learn from it a lot. And this was the only way I really directly was involved with the community, so I just wanted to thank the Board of Ed for this opportunity.
Thank you, Rena, and again, we wish you continued success in college and come back and visit us all the time. So now at this time, we'll go to number 9, public forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. And since looks like a big crowd, we will adhere to our 3-minute speaking.
Good evening, Barbara Coliandro, 61 Valley Forge Drive, East Brunswick, New Jersey. I am speaking tonight as the voice of the people standing behind me. They are the staff from Barclay Brook School. Last Friday, a district supervisor and a principal met with a Barclay Brook teacher, where the supervisor informed her that she would not be rehired. We are all here tonight to express a strong vote of no confidence in that decision. This hardworking, dedicated, and effective teacher is an example of excellence and stands up for the needs of every child. Speaking up is what is right for students, should be rewarded, not punished. Barclay Brook has always been a special learning community, and this teacher is an important part of our community. We ask that you carefully review and deny this recommendation of non-renewal. Her dismissal will have a negative effect on the morale of Barclay Brook staff. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Burbank. I live at 11 Carlton Avenue in Monroe Township. I'm just calling because I'm standing here because of a recent article I read in the Sentinel about zero-period busing. I don't know if that's an issue that's already been discussed previously. Zero-period busing for the music elementary schools is being it's not going to happen. So I was just wondering if there's a plan in effect for maintaining the number of band and choral students in the elementary levels. It really doesn't make a difference to me. My last son is in high school, but I'm really concerned about, I know that the Board of Education and the teachers in the Monroe school system have really supported the music department, and it's really come a long way. They've done a lot of work in recruiting really excellent teachers, and I don't want to see the music department in any way, shape, or form lose students through attrition and through the fact that there's no busing.
Mr. Gorski, would you like to respond?
With the cumulative loss in state aid awards that the district has had and the 4 consecutive budget defeats, we had to make some cuts from the budget. And no matter the area which was chosen to be cut, unfortunately, some or all of us would be affected. Cutting zero-period transportation was one of the last transportation services provided. Previously, and it was only several years ago that we added it, parents drove their students to those programs, and unfortunately, we can no longer continue with that cost. So it was a fair methodology to cut that one, and fortunately, we're still able to maintain those wonderful programs.
Mr. Kaufman?
Wow, 2 mics. As a big supporter of the music program, it really wasn't an easy decision to eliminate zero-period busing. But I'd like to take this opportunity, because we have a lot of residents in the room tonight, to make you understand that having multiple years of consecutive losses of budgets, we can only do so much with making things not affect students. Before some point in time, students and programs will be affected. I hate to use this word, but be advised that, if we continue not being able to pass budgets, you won't even remember this, because there will be so many programs and courses and, many, many other things cut from our very rich curriculum that we've worked many, many years to build. They'll be gone year after year after year, and will be cut more and more and more. So I would very much urge everybody who's a resident in Monroe Township to become a champion of our school budget. We don't like to do these things, but we are accountable to make sure that these budgets pass and that every dime is spent. We can't pay it forward. We can't ask for more money outside the realm of referendums and those things. So we hate doing it, but unfortunately it has to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Kaufman. Mr. Klein?
There's only a certain amount of money that we're able to spend. There's only a certain amount of taxes we can collect. And there's only a certain amount of weight we can put on our residents in property tax increases every year. If you read in the newspapers, be it the home news, mostly the home news, because it's Middlesex County, and just take a look at what's been going on in these other school districts. We're talking Edison, Woodbridge, Old Bridge, the cuts that they've made. And they get a heck of a lot more money than we do. But with the cuts that they made, there was help given by other people involved to be able to save jobs and save programs. There's a limit to what we can charge our residents. This past year, the increase will be 20 cents a hundred on your assessed valuation. And for the people who are on fixed incomes, they no longer can afford it. And when you read in the paper after the vote, most of Middlesex County school districts passed the budget, but their increases were 4 cents, 5 cents, 8 cents a hundred, not 20 or 21 cents a hundred. We're fortunate so far that our cuts are very limited. But as Mr. Kaufman had mentioned, another year of a turned-down budget, there are going to be a lot of big changes, and we don't want to do anything to hurt the kids. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
My name's James Solly from 600 West End Avenue, New York. I can't afford to live in New Jersey.
Neither can we.
The car insurance is a lot cheaper in New York, and I can assure you. I'd like to make a couple of comments regarding the recommendation for the award of the contract for the new TV studio. I speak with a fair amount of experience because we've supplied TV studios in East Orange, Hazlitt, Kingsborough, Long Branch, Livingston, Piscataway, Trenton, to name but many. So the two main comments I'd like to make is regarding the lighting that was specified. I made at least three suggestions that the recommendation to use tungsten lighting should be changed to fluorescent. We read every day that the world is going to fluorescent and LED for efficiency, eco-friendly, reduced energy usage, etc. So I think the idea of using a tungsten lamp in the studio is completely wrong. And what's more, the cost of using fluorescent fixtures instead of the tungsten ones specified would reduce the cost of the studio by about $25,000, which is kind of interesting considering some of the comments that preceded me that there's a proposal here to spend $25,000 more than I believe is necessary for this. The other comment I'd like to make is, as I said, we've installed a lot of studios around the area. Many of these people, you may know the principals or the IT people in these, and the company that's being recommended here hasn't installed any. I'll be free, welcome any questions or supporting documentation, but that's the gist of my comments. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing no one, we will go to the approval of minutes for the Public Board of Education meeting of April 13, 2011. Motion and a second.
So moved.
Mr. Chiarella, Mr. Masters, comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Ms. Antelis abstains. The approval of the minutes for the closed session board meeting of April 13, 2011.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chiarella, Mr. Klein, comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Ms. Antelis. The Public Board of Education Organization meeting of May 11, 2011.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Tesler and Mr. Chiarella. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Then we will go to the approval of minutes for the closed session board meeting of May 11, 2011.
So moved.
Mr.
Second.
Kaufman, Mr. Tesler, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Then the minutes have passed. We will go to the superintendent's report with Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. Before I start my report, I'd just like to take this opportunity, as this is the final meeting for the school year for our staff, to thank our staff and our district administrators for another very successful school year. Our accomplishments this year have been quite plentiful, and we are one step closer to making the top 100 in the state. So I want to applaud the staff and the administration for that achievement. I also want to congratulate our support staff and our retirees for their contribution to the district and to all of our students, particularly those who served on the superintendent's focus group this year. Your ideas and your contributions are appreciated much more than you will ever know, and for the energy that you provided to me just to keep a pulse on things in our district from a student perspective. Moving on to the superintendent's report, As you can see, we are finishing up this school year with 163 additional students. Mr. Gorski and I had the honor and privilege of meeting with Township Business Administrator and they shared the result of the census that was taken here in Monroe. And if the census is correct, we will see these numbers double in the next few years. That's something we should certainly keep into consideration, but that report is there for your review and consideration. Our enrollment report for our out-of-district placement remains pretty consistent over the course of the year, and our home instruction list is also there for your review, and that list is also available with student ID numbers, and if you need more information, we can certainly provide that. Item number 3 lists the fire drills and the lockdown. You will also see bus drill or bus evacuation drills that are listed and also required by code that are on your agenda. And moving on to personnel items, Madam Board President and members of the Board of Education, it is recommended by the superintendent that personnel items A through HHH be approved by roll call vote. This agenda, as you know, is a long agenda. These are procedural, most of these are procedural items consistent with this time of year and reappointments for next year.
Okay, is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Ms. Antelis?
Second.
Mr. Kaufman? Are there any questions for Dr. Hamilton?
It's not a question statement.
Mr. Klein?
On personnel, C, there I was laying in bed with 2 intravenous's, oxygen, and I read that Ingrid's leaving. And after the cardiac arrest, they revived me. It's shocking. And the resignation of Ingrid, Director of Transportation, will be a tremendous loss to our district. She was an asset to us and will not easily be replaced. She knew her responsibilities and deeply cared about our children and our employees, running this difficult department like a fine watch. There was no problem she could not solve quickly to everyone's satisfaction. She will be greatly, greatly missed. And I tried everything in my power to try to get her to stay. Threats, handcuffs, tried to steal a car. And unfortunately, we're losing a fantastic, fantastic leader. And we'll miss her. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klein, and I just want to, for the record, say that Mr. Klein is not kidding about the hospital, as he has recently been admitted and has had a problem, and he's now back on the board, happy and healthy. Mr. Braverman?
Just want to clarify something. You went to Ingrid and discussed her staying?
I asked if there was any possibility she would reconsider. Yes, I did.
That's not a board member's.
I did it as a
prerogative.
personal. I did it as personal.
You can't keep saying that, Mark. You
Well,
just
this was
can't keep
personal.
saying that.
This was personal.
Are there
I'd
any?
rather take every chance to try to keep somebody that's a valued employee than to let them walk. And if it's against the rules, then I broke the rules. But at least I gave it my best shot to try to keep a valued
But you
employee.
can't keep breaking them and keep saying it's personal.
Then what they can do is they can vote me off the board the next time I run.
Is there
I
any?
will not sit here and
But-
keep my mouth shut,
If you keep doing
and I will
it,
do,
the board might have to sanction you.
then they can sanction me. I will do everything I can within the limits, but if something has to be said, it will be said.
And I assure you that Mr. Klein and I have had a conversation.
And we had a conversation.
Any other questions for Dr.
Ooh,
Hamilton?
Nasty, nasty, nasty.
At this time, Mr. Gorski, may we have a roll call on the personnel items?
Yes. Mr. Leary is absent. Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Yes.
Mrs. Antelis?
Yes, but I'd like to recuse myself on item UU and item AAA.
UU and triple A, so noted.
You only went to HH.
Triple H.
Triple H.
Oh, you're not paying attention. Whoa.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
My pleasure.
Mr. Braverman?
I have a comment. Is this Mr. Gorski's and Dr. Gorman's second year? Have they completed their second year, or is this their second contract, or beyond?
This will be their second contract year. They're being reappointed. Their contracts are at the county office. They have not been approved yet.
So then these are 10-year contracts?
No, if they're tenure for an administrator in a certificated position who's already had an established position of certification in the district is 2 years and a day. So even fulfillment of the 11-12 year, for me, would require another day and another appointment.
But this is that contract,
No, this is only the second year.
and one day we'll...
No, yeah.
Well, congratulations. Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Recluse on double N, W, yes on all others.
That was N, N, and W.
Yep.
So noted. Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Personnel items A through triple H passes.
Moving on, Madam Board President, to board action items and members of the Board of Education, it is recommended by the superintendent. The board action items A through X be approved by roll call vote.
Motion and a second, please.
Moved.
Ms. Antelis, Mr. Chiarella. Are there any questions for Dr. Hamilton? Mr. Braverman?
On K, the elimination of the 12-month position, and on L, we're creating a 10-month position. And your comment in K is it's for reasons of economy. I'd like to say that it's very disheartening, and I think this, I think it's very disheartening for us to attempt economical moves on the backs of the lowest people in the district. I think, frankly, there would be a larger saving if, prior to negotiations with the administrators, I was able to say something about having all elementary school principals and vice principals be on 10-month contracts. That would have been an enormous savings. And frankly, I don't know that they'd be missed during the summer. But that's me, and I understand that. But I personally, and I also think that you need her 12 months a year.
We have an opportunity through some restructuring to reassign some of those duties to central office personnel. So that's the catalyst for this recommendation. That work will not disappear, and that's true. The summer months are very busy in transportation. But we have an opportunity just based on some reassignments in central office to add those duties to another desk.
Any other questions?
Question.
Mr. Kaufman?
Right, we're changing the job description of the supervisor of language arts literacy. I'm not part of personnel, so I don't know. I think last year, we did away with one of the supervisor's positions. Is this still going to be a supervisory level position, or is this like a lead teacher thing, or?
No, this is still supervisory, yes. We have not asked Mr. Gorman to do an assessment on how the lead teacher position is working out with math and give us some data on that. Got some preliminary data, but it's not complete yet. But this recommendation for language arts continues in its current function.
Anyone else? At this time, we have a motion, right? We will do a roll call.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni? Mrs. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
No on K and L, yes on the rest of it.
So noted. Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through X passes.
Thank you.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. At this time, we will go to the Business Administrator's report. Mr. Gorski.
Thank you. Madam Board President and members of the Monroe Township Board of Education, it is recommended that board action items A through W be approved by consent roll call.
So moved.
Mr. Kaufman.
Second.
Ms. Antelis. Are there any questions for Mr. Gorski in regard to the Business Administrator's report? Seeing none, we will have a roll call.
Mr. Tesler.
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni.
Yes.
Ms. Antelis.
Yes.
Mr. Braverman.
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella. Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Masters.
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman.
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Board action items A through W passes.
Thank you very much. And at this time, we will go to, keep going through the agenda. Okay. I believe it's the board president's report. Just have a couple things. Number one, the committees have been restructured and assigned, and the only real change from last year is piggybacking on Mr. Kaufman's governance committee. It is now a governance legislative committee. The idea of that committee, or my hope for that committee, is to make it, to use that as on a rotating basis with all the board members, as we did last year, but to continue the fight for a fair and equitable funding formula and to make sure that our budgets get passed. So I think that it is something important enough for all our board members to be involved in that conversation. The second thing is that recently there was a town hall meeting held in Monroe by Governor Christie. I know there were members of the administration and other board members who attended that. There were a lot of questions asked. I think my concerns were in regard to the funding. He answered a lot of questions. I followed up with that meeting with a letter to the governor with a copy to all our state representatives, and at this time I have not heard any answers or replies. So we will continue the fight to make sure that our voices are heard and that a funding formula, or hopefully there'll be a new one for next year. And my last thing is that I would like to congratulate Mr. Lou Masters on the birth of his fourth son. I don't ever remember a baby being born to the board, except Mr. Chiarella has come close. But I think it's very exciting and a welcome addition to our school system. So at this time, we will go to committee reports. Is there any board member that has a report that needs to be talked? Mr. Klein?
Where do we start?
I'm not quite sure.
Just one thing on the policy, and I was going to say something earlier, but I just let it go. The policy committee will make a subcommittee, will form a subcommittee to rewrite our discipline rules and regulations and penalties in order to make the students more accountable for their actions and to get the parents directly involved when it gets to a point that whatever we've done in the school is not sufficient. So you will get reports on that as we progress. As far as building and grounds today, the Row Clean Rest Home, there was an offer there for $100,000 to allow them sewer easement, and they never responded, so it's been tabled for now until they decide whether they want it or they don't want it. The high school construction update, there's some electrical changes that are necessary. There was some classrooms that are going to have to be used for like special programs like AVID. So there are going to be some rooms converted over for that, and there's electrical work that has to be done. The biggest expense are for the fryers that are in the lunchroom and in the cooking facility, for lack of a better name. That's the most expensive because they have to put higher amped wiring in and then some extra outlets for computers and some, not computers, but copy machines in some of the rooms. Renovation update. Try to read my writing. The most important thing on this is looking into solar electric on all our buildings. And Michael was approached by the county that there's a co-op program being set up by a developer. And in essence, they would put all the equipment in, they would receive the tax rebates, and we would purchase the electricity from them at a very, very deep discount as compared to what we're paying presently through the consortium. That would be a great savings for us. They offered to do a survey of all our schools and let us know whether it can be done, and if not, what are the other available options, and we're looking into it. The best part of it is there's no investment for us. We're virtually going to purchase the electric through this developer, but only the electric that is made by these solar systems. So let's say we use 100 kilowatt hours and it produces 30, then we purchase 70 on the market. So that could be a great savings. I did find out, being fairly new on the board, that Oak Tree does have a solar system that we own. And they are going to look at putting a solar system in a new high school that we would own. So this is all in the talking stages now. The survey that's being made, that the county asked us to participate in, is at a cost of $1,000 a school, but the state will pick up half, or the county will pick up half. So it costs us $500 a school to receive a survey on whether the solar system will work or what's needed. So I thought that was great. TCU lease, that's the trailers. We ran, the lease ran out in Barclay Brook. I believe we have 2 trailers there, and we have an option now of either returning them, paying to have them torn down, purchasing them, or leasing them. And it's a tough decision, because with everything that's going on, and as I've spoken in many other meetings about the Solar Act, of converting PNCs, which are your age-restricted developments, into family developments, somewhere in the future, if the biggest one, Hovnanian, does win on appeal, that could mean within a matter of 5-6 years, another 700 kids to our school system. So the question is, if we tear them down or we return them, we may need them. So I think what we've decided to do, and if I'm speaking out of turn, correct me, is possibly lease them year to year and make the decision whether we should keep them or return them. Detailed plans. The boosters, Monroe Township Boosters baseball scoreboard, there was a donation for a new scoreboard made by the boosters, and we've accepted it, of course. And there's also the Touchdown Club wants to donate a football shed for them to store equipment on the practice field. That we have to look into further to see whether the size of the shed, if it gets too large, it counts as a building, and then there's a variance involved and so on. But basically, the scoreboard, I believe we've decided to accept, and we're going to speak about the shed. Last but not least, the central office repairs. They were forced to redo the kitchen because there was a very bad water leak that did damage to the floor, the wood floor. So the wood floor had to be replaced. And they had to add cabinets because the cabinets were in bad shape, and countertops. The cost on that is basically $3,500 plus some limited labor, which I believe we're doing in-house. So it's something that had to be done, and that's why it was done. The other thing that we discussed is painting the outside of the administrative building and also replacing some of the gutters. The painting will be done in-house. The gutters, we have a choice of doing it in-house or bring a company in that does it seamless, where they build it right at the site. And it's a matter of getting prices and see which way we're better off. And that's basically buildings and grounds. Next is finance. The only thing here that really I'm not going to go over everything, but Michael, I heard that. Michael was able to, well, here, you want to handle it? You missed the meeting.
Mr. Klein, let's,
Michael was able to refinance our 2002 bond series, and we'll realize our savings of $1,371,735 over 10 years. Lease purchase financing of our computer equipment, except for the new high school. He was able to get us the lowest rates we've ever gotten, and that is $47,519 a year for the equipment. As far as purchasing, there's a purchasing consortium that he requests us to join. It will cost us $8,000 to join, but we can realize savings based on previous purchases. And these are all different types of supplies, whether it's janitorial, toilet tissue, any of these other supplies. We could realize a savings of about $100,000 a year based on last year. And the only part that hurt was arbitrage payment that we have to pay the IRS. And this hurts, $158,965. It's due upon the 5-year anniversary. Is this a one-time payment?
Yes.
And this is because Wayne, Holiday, and Michael was able to get us excellent returns on bond money and some other monies that we had, and you're only allowed to keep a certain amount of it, so therefore the rest is going to the state. And that's basically the Finance Committee. Thank you.
are there any questions for Mr. Klein on his reports on finance or buildings and grounds? Okay, any other reports? Mr. Braverman, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I want to report on the policy committee. We met last week, and we passed all of the policy that was on the agenda tonight. The committee asked Dr. Hamilton to form a committee on discipline. It probably will be primarily about the secondary school, the high school. However, it's generally discipline. We asked him to think outside of the box, and perhaps do some things that aren't being done now if they're not successful. But we do have quite a discipline program, and he might, or the committee might just say, hey, this is the way it is, we're doing the best we can, and we'll just have to go along with it. We have no preconceived ideas of what's going to come out of the committee. I appointed Mark Klein, the liaison, to the discipline committee from the policy committee, not to the board. The board will get information as the committee sees fit. And we just slightly discussed the background checks for board members, which is quite interesting. Because the way it is in the shoot right now, board members are going to have background checks, but we can have volunteers and parents walk into every school without being checked. There's something wrong with the law or the way they're passing it. That's the policy committee.
Thank you, Mr. Braverman. Mr. Kaufman, did you have your hand up? He didn't.
Yes, I did. Sorry.
See, I saw that behind you.
Behind you.
Sneaky.
I did. There was a curriculum meeting held this week, and we are going to have a follow-up meeting. The main topic was to talk about technology and look how best we can spend the bond referendum money for technology in the new high school that's opening up. So we're going to have a follow-up meeting next week, and more to come on that.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Kaufman? Mr. Tesler?
Yay, my turn. Okay, get my notes. We had a personnel committee meeting, and just to go over what we discussed, first topic was staff roster. Dr. Hamilton reviewed the staff roster with the committee, noting key vacancies in the district. He also advised the committee that there were a few teachers who did not pass the praxis test, and they will remain at the elementary level. We have an opportunity to add sections to Oak Tree to help reduce the class sizes over there next year without adding to the budget based on middle school staffing numbers. We also posted for a VP position at the middle school. There is also There will be one less VP at the elementary level as a result of reduction in the elementary schools. Oak Tree will have a full-time VP. Brookside and Woodland will share a VP, and Barkley, Brook, and Mill Lake will not have a VP as a result of their decreased enrollments. Topic 2, recall procedures. The committee reviewed all the recall procedures, and Dr. Hamilton also expressed the reductions included the necessary number of staff members to meet the reductions in the advertised budget. Non-affiliates, committee was presented with recommended raises for the non-affiliates. These raises are within budgets for the non-affiliates, and some employees did not receive the full raise. Educational technology facilitator, Dr. Hamilton made a recommendation to make the ET 120%, allowing for 20 additional workdays over the summer, and the committee supported the recommendation. Language arts supervisor job description, which we discussed a little earlier. The committee reviewed a new job description to capture all the duties associated with the position, and the committee supported the new job description. And Dr. Hamilton expressed that he wants to try to recruit someone who demonstrates expertise in elementary and middle school writing experience, who can engage the district in the next steps to improve balanced literacy and bringing about improved results in the primary grades. And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions, Ms. Antelis?
Ira, is that a new position? Does that mean there'll be 2 vice principals at the middle school, or are you just replacing somebody who's leaving?
The new middle school will have 2 vice principals.
Any other questions? Mr. Masters?
Wow, what's it doing all the way down there?
I don't have anything at 2. Just a quick comment on the Finance Committee. I didn't want to glance over what you said. I wanted to commend Mr. Gorski for that frugality and a lot of that proactive work he did in saving the district a lot of money. I know it's over the next X amount of years. It's about $1.5 million to $2 million. I was trying to count as you were rattling it off, but I think did a great job. That's it.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, we will go to number 15. Is there any other business from members of the Board of Education? Okay, seeing none, we will go to the closed session. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves to go into closed session in accordance with Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10:4-6 through 10:4-21, to discuss the following subject: personnel matter, superintendent evaluation. The discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the matter has been resolved. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Chiarella, Mr. Masters, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, at this time, we will go into closed session. I don't think we're going to be too long. Forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come to the microphone again and give your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Doug Boyd. I live at 4 Tamarack Road. I noticed, and this will basically serve as an example, but on page 12 of the agenda, item DDEEF, they all deal with personnel which are being assigned to assist with the high school graduation. And when I looked at the number of hours and the hourly pay, I see that we're going to be spending about $6,000 for this personnel to assist at a high school graduation. I'm not exactly certain what their function is. All I can say is that there are many other districts that conduct high school graduations with even larger graduating classes than what we have here at Monroe, and they don't spend this money for this purpose. And I'm using this as an example of it's very likely that we have certain procedures in place in the district that have been in place over the years that possibly don't really need to exist. And this is certainly one that I question, because I know there are high schools that do not do this. and so they don't have to spend $6,000 for high school graduation. There's already enough expenses attached to that, and I would think if they're there to keep the students in line, then that raises a question about are these young men and women able to behave themselves for an hour or so and go through graduation without having somebody whopping them on the back of the head or whatever. I just think that needs to be looked at. But it's really a very small item in the sense of finding things that are going on in the district that may not be necessary. How often does the administration or does the board look to see what else is going on? I'll give you a second example of this, and I don't know what the figure is, but I was, as you know, I've lived here in Monroe for many, many years, and when I heard that we were hiring security personnel for the buildings, I said, for what? Why is that being done? And I can tell you there are many districts in the state as large and larger than Hillsborough, than Monroe, who do not have security personnel. That's more money being spent, and I think that needs to be reviewed. I know you get security aid, but I know that security aid can be spent on things other than personnel, I believe. But maybe not, I'm not sure. The other item, and I don't know if you can address this, but there was a gentleman here who spoke about the lighting for the high school stage. And I know that bid was awarded tonight because that's been approved. Is that money coming from the bond money, or is that coming from the regular budget?
Mr. Gorski?
Just in time. To answer your latter question, it is bond referendum money that is still, under the New Jersey procurement laws, required to go out to bid. We had an open public bid, and the lowest qualified bidder, whose bid was reviewed by our engineers from Design Ideas Group, the board's architectural firm, and also the construction attorneys from Wilentz, determined that the one that was on the agenda tonight was the lowest qualified bidder, and that we are required to give the bid to that bidder.
Can I, even though my time is up, can I ask them a subsequent question that ties into that? Okay. Because there was a gentleman here who said that, in his opinion, we were spending almost $25,000 more because the specifications required tungsten lighting. And I noticed, you know, the board didn't make any response to that. But if in fact we can essentially produce the same type of lighting that's needed, I mean, this is not a Broadway theater that we're talking about here. If we can produce it at $25,000 less, then why aren't we doing that? And I don't know if you can comment on that or not tonight. I realize it was in the specifications. I realize the bid was awarded to the lowest bidder. But to me, it does raise the question as to why didn't the specifications allow for alternate forms of lighting? Why did they insist on it being tungsten lighting? And I don't know anything about lighting, so you know I can't come to any understanding of that myself. But I would appreciate if either at this meeting or some future meeting that could be clarified. And okay.
Mr. Gorski?
I could tell you I'm not an expert in that area either, but I did speak to Mr. Teague about the bid, and I understand the bid specs as a whole. And I think it's easy to pick one component of a larger unit, such as that TV studio, and say, in my opinion, this is not the most efficient way of approaching this project, perhaps not understanding the complexity of how it all operates as a whole, or the fact that you may have to go back now and redesign some other component because you've now changed the lighting. I could tell you as a whole, it was reviewed by engineers from Design Ideas Group again, and it was deemed to be efficient and an efficient, appropriate use of board money.
And I realize you have to rely on expertise for those types of things.
Yes.
Can I make one more comment?
Yes.
I have 4 grandchildren in the school system. They attend different buildings in the school system. And all I can say is for the last 3 to 4 weeks, ever since the New Jersey ASTESC have been done, whenever I talk to my grandchildren, and I see them often, I hear that there is very little instruction going on in the schools. I hear there's a lot of packing going on. I hear in one case that they cannot do the regular instruction because the room is so filled with cartons. I hear that we're being taught stuff that we were being taught back in January. And all I'm saying is we're paying a lot of money for salaries for teachers to be conducting instruction. And for me to have started hearing this shortly, I would say it was before the end of May that I was hearing these kind of comments. I am bringing it to the board's attention because I hope that next year at this same time, when these 4 grandchildren continue to be in the Monroe school system, that I will not be hearing those things repeated, because I was really upset when I heard that. I'm not necessarily blaming the teachers, but somebody needs to be watching what's going on in the classrooms at the end of the school year. And I thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Antelis?
Mr. Coy, I would just like to address your comment about the security. You know, many years ago, we had a gentleman walked into Mill Lake School looking for his son. That gentleman's son was an adult. He had some mental problems. We have had other instances of people walking into the school. I don't understand why you wouldn't want security in the school. If something were to happen, would you expect the teachers to organize? And if you think that nothing will ever happen here or doesn't, you got to read the paper. Because if we ever start thinking it can't happen here, that's when it's going to happen. We should have security, I'm sorry, in every single school. And I think for the sake of our children. And your other comment about your grandchildren, you know, every day my kids would come home and you know what I used to say? So what'd you do in school today? You know what they told me? Nothing. I didn't believe them. So I think that asking a student sometimes about what's going on in the school, maybe you could kind of get a skewed answer.
Mr. Klein?
Not too long ago, we had voted on additional monies to be paid to our teachers for packing and unpacking at the new school. And I took it for granted that it's the same scenario in the regular schools where they're not being transferred to another district. I am very much concerned that if they're doing packing on full school days, that's wrong. If it's like we had in East Brunswick, or we had when I was a kid many moons ago, where you had half days, your last 2 days or 3 days, and you did packing. I remember we used to help, in Brooklyn, we used to help the teachers like the last 2 days because they were half days. But if it's full days and there are loads of boxes and these kids are not being taught, these kids are supposed to be taught X amount of days a year. And if we're going to pay extra for after the school year is over, then something's wrong here, and I think that's something we should look at.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Klein. Mr. Kaufman?
You'll get there, Iris. I want to address the issue about graduation and the staff members and the way we happen to do graduation. I was fortunate enough or unfortunate enough to have a student who graduated in the last graduating class that we had here in Monroe Township on the high school field. And I know some of the other board members remember that day of days. As many of you may remember who are in the staff, in the seats tonight. It was a consolidated effort after that end of days class of rain. And I remember walking out with my fellow board members wearing sunglasses on the way out to the field because the sun was out, and watching the sheet of rain come across Thompson Park. As some of you may recall, it was crazy. We decided then, because what you probably didn't see was the unbelievable amount of students, typically the young ladies, coming up and crying hysterically because their, for lack of a better term, faces, right, had completely disintegrated. The irony here is this was my son that this was happening to, and the exact same thing happened to me when I graduated. And I told them, you'll remember this forever. That's the good side. We made a conscious effort from a board's perspective to not let that happen again. We have a great facility in New Jersey that allows us to host this facility inside, and we want to take advantage of it because that gives us a lot of things. We don't have to worry about how hot it is because sweltering heat is also a concern from a health perspective. So we have a great air conditioning environment where graduations can be held. It is pretty chaotic behind the scenes. There are a lot of students converging on a very small space, and it's not necessarily that they're unruly, it's more of an excitement thing. And the staff that's there does a wonderful job of corralling everyone to make sure they're exactly where they need to be because it is a very, very well-orchestrated event. Another thing to consider too is what we have now, which we didn't have then, was we have a new field that has a completely different surface that's out there. And we've been told repeatedly that if we try to put chairs out on that field because of the way it's designed and it's not meant to have chairs on it, we can do irreparable damage to the field, and we're looking to protect our investments wherever we possibly can. So as far as this board member is concerned, I'm going to continue to endorse putting graduation down in the, it's not Commerce Bank or whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
Sunbank. Tomorrow will be somebody else's, right? That place indefinitely. So.
And actually, we had to rent the chairs and the podium for the graduation, so that was a cost that we don't have now.
Right.
And in regard to your child graduating on that wonderful day in 2007, my son did too, and his comment was, "Mom, this was the best day of high school ever." So it's perception. Mr. Tesler, did you have a question, comment?
Sure. Just a comment. I guess everybody has their own perspective, but just from my three kids, my oldest one's a junior at Monroe High School, and she has been quite inundated with work over the past few weeks, getting prepared for finals, and believe me, I hear it every night. My 8th grader has a quiz tomorrow and is just assigned a social studies project on Monday, which is due the end of the week, so there's no lack of work there. And my little one in 2nd grade, she's doing just as much work as she did all year. So I guess all kids can come home with their own stories, but I know, from my perspective, there's still a lot of teaching going on.
Thank you. We are still on the public forum, so anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and we will try to hold all comments from board members till after the public forum.
My name is Phil Levy. I live at 92 Kingsmill Road. I don't want to take anything away from my friend Doug Poy, but WW, which you awarded this TV studio bid, listening to the Mr. Sully speaking, as I understand, he was one of the bidders on the job, and that you use Design Ideas Group as one of your people that you go as a consultant. Okay. From what I understand and from what Mr. Sully said and what I looked at the plans that he showed me, and from his description, tungsten lighting is rapidly becoming obsolete. In California, you no longer can buy a 100-watt incandescent light bulb. It's illegal. And that will happen here for the rest of the country, January 1st, 2012. Because tungsten is an inefficient source of light. Fluorescent lighting is color-corrected, much easier to control, and costs less to operate. Also, LED technology. It's in its infancy, but everything you see is LED. At the Light Fair in Pennsylvania Convention Center, everything is LED. Just go to the Monroe Township Council, and you'll see that they changed all of the street lights there in the parking lot to LED. At a fantastic savings of money from the electrical point of view and from the replacement point of view, because they last in excess of 100,000 hours. So I think that although the board used somebody that they know, I think this Design Ideas Group, I think that they didn't do as much due diligence as they could have, because this company approved something that is rapidly becoming obsolete. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Michelle Arminio.
Your address, please.
9 Nathaniel Street.
Thank you.
Ms. Kapanowitz, you mentioned that one of the new committees is going to be about legislative, taking a look at that on the state level. Does the board have an outline, their own outline, to propose what is fair and equitable funding formulas?
I believe that what we're looking at, when we have comprised a chart of what we make, or what we get from state funding, and what comparable FG district factor groups get. And we're looking to make sure that if we are a socioeconomic equal group, FG, J, A, whatever, that you should all be making this, or receiving the same amount of aid from the state. And that's what we're looking for, to make sure that each group is getting the same amount of aid.
Okay, but that's using the old model. You implied that you're looking to see if there's new models for equitable and fair funding, because everybody keeps saying that the model that exists now is not fair and equitable. So in order to move forward, and because it's the same old story every year, this is like the 5th year we've heard the same problem. So wouldn't it behoove the board and the new committee to come up with what they perceive from an educational standpoint, something fair and equitable?
I'm not sure. What we had looked at this year, and I know Mr. Kaufman did a really good job of looking at the state formula. The state formula was about 40 pages long, and after you got through the second page, you couldn't figure out what you were getting or why. I think our job is to make sure that whatever the formula is fair to everybody in that particular group. I'm not sure that we're supposed to come up with the formula. Really, the state's obligation to thoroughly and efficiently educate all students. And we just want to make sure that our students in Monroe are treated the same way students in, for instance, Old Bridge or South Brunswick are treated. So
and that's an aspect of it. I agree with that. But it would seem to me that the board is also charged with educating students and would know best what would be fair and equitable to assist our budget. It's just a suggestion. I
think that's part of what I want this committee to do, is to look at, as a whole, what we can do to get our voices heard. To first start with making sure that we're getting more than we get now.
But we've been saying that for 5 years, and we're not getting it.
Yeah, we have been saying that. I don't think that we've looked at the numbers like we did this year. I don't think we've ever said, oh, we're only getting $198 per person per student, and somebody else is getting $4,000. And I think when we broke it down this year, that was something that people in the community were saying, you're kidding, we only get that much per student? Why does somebody else get so much more? That's our question. We need to know as a district why we only get a certain amount of money, and somebody else who's a comparative district factor group of FG gets so much more. So we have more questions that we need answers for, and I'm hoping that the committee will ask those questions and come up with something.
Also, you were talking about the solar electric and the builder providing, a request to do solar and taken advantage, to have the board take advantage of that. Before that decision is made, can the board do a cost analysis of purchasing versus renting? Because if the school system does it themselves, you will be entitled to what they call the SRECs, which is the solar, well, it's SREC. I don't know what it actually all means. So, but I mean, if it's that good that a builder would want to supply that for you, there is money to be made. There's a profit margin. So why can't the board consider that? Because once you put the solar there, it's yours forever. I mean, going back to the trailers. I mean, this is over 10 years now. We keep saying, well, the trailers are going to go away. We're going to save all this money. Now there's even an issue, maybe we'll still keep renting them. That's going to be the same issue with solar panels. Why don't we do a cost analysis, make the initial investment, and then we will have not only the benefit of the the grant money or whatever the rebate is, but we'll also have our own solar panels forever, and we can't have a builder take them away, because that would be their right.
Mr. Gorski, would you like to respond?
Ms. Arminio, with regard to the solar panels, it's not necessarily a builder's initiative, it's run through the county. And the key benefit of that aspect is the district doesn't have to come up with any capital expenditures, which are in the size and scope of a bond referendum, in order to address the installation of solar panels. And you're right, the SHREC, solar renewable energy credits, are significant. The district earns about $30,000 a year on our Oak Tree School. The second proposal that was discussed tonight at committee was using some of the bond referendum money that we may have under our budget to install solar panels on the roof. In that case, we would be the owner, and we would enjoy not only the rollback of the energy rates, but also the SRECs, which are subject to government renewal every year.
Well, I think that's a bond referendum that would make sense. And I think posed properly and shown that will actually be a savings or a benefit to the board in the future. It's not the use of funds that is a problem for people on bond referendums, it's the waste of funds. And if you can show that it's, in the future, it is absolutely in the best interest and good policy for the board, I'm sure that would pass. Because it's specific, and you can show what value it has to the public. And it's not some abstract, it's a very definite mathematical equation. I would also just like to finally thank Mr. Klein for his comprehensive committee reports. It's refreshing. I know everybody wants to go home, but it's refreshing to the public to hear comprehensive committee reports. I hope everyone takes that lead and does that. And thank you, Mr. Braverman, for supporting employees on the levels where they're less powerful than others and don't have the same kind of financial benefits that some do. So I think that that's great. And I think that's it. Oh, and just one other thing, back to how citizens are treated when they come up with suggestions. Instead of outright dismissing the public's concern or perception of things that are going on, it would be really refreshing to hear the board say, gee, we don't entirely agree with you if you don't, but it does take some looking into. I mean, people come up to this podium who are sincerely interested in what goes on in this community, and to outright dismiss them and is to me inappropriate for the board. So I'd like, again, something refreshing would be that if board members would take the time to at least respect what's said, and even if you disagree, maybe look into it anyway. Not every teacher is packing right now or not teaching, but I've actually heard on other levels that there's a lot of movies being shown throughout the year in classes, and not educational movies either, just fillers. So things are being said. I don't think children are making it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arminio. Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing no one, we will close public forum. Mr. Klein, did you have a comment?
Yes. Ms. Arminio brought up the subject about the board coming up with what we felt would be our fair share. And I definitely agree that the formula is a waste of time, it's a waste of effort, and it's a bunch of baloney. As I've written and spoke about at these meetings for months, and I've written it and it's been printed in the paper, that the proper way of financing schools is with a base that everybody receives the same base. And I had picked a figure out of the air and said, well, if every school district received $6,000 per student, and then your special ed population would get X amount of dollars more, and special circumstances. So your poorer districts where they have to give breakfasts and other services, they would receive more, but everybody is starting off on the same playing field. Now, I've said that for 2 years. I've written about it for 2 years. Well, lo and behold, Senator Doherty of Washington, New Jersey, wants to hold town hall meetings about just that subject. And the suggestion he comes up with is that every school should receive $7,481 per student. And that we would be receiving, based on our school population last year, $42,700 and some odd dollars.
42 million?
Oh, I can't read. Oh, my glasses, yeah. Sorry. Can you rewrap that? We would be getting $42,731,472 annually from the state. Now you're talking fair. Even if you go with the figures that Mr. Leary came up with, where he just went with the FG districts within Middlesex County, we wound up receiving at that point 20-some-odd million dollars. We only get this coming year 1.1 million. And this was brought up in the presence of the governor at his town hall meetings, both by myself and other people from Jamesburg and Monroe Township. We spoke to Linda Greenstein, and we get the same answer. And the Department of Education in Trenton. Everything comes back to, they fall back on the formula. Well, the formula don't work. There's no way that they could show any formula that equates to us receiving $198 a student. So if you want to know a figure, I would go $6,000 a student, $6,500 a student, plus additional money for state for special ed. Now you got a deal. Now it's fair and equitable. Not where you keep turning over hundreds of millions of dollars. And what you see in the newspaper is only state aid, not federal aid. You know what we get in federal aid? $86,000. Do you know what Newark gets between state aid, federal aid, and other sources? $800 million. And they just sent them more money. And as I've said all along, until the parents, the unions, get up and speak and say, we are being raped in Monroe Township, Middlesex County. We're not the Monroe Township down the shore. We're Monroe Township, Middlesex County. We're being raped. It's unfair to our students, it's unfair to our taxpayers, and it's unfair to our employees. And something has to be changed.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Any other board members? If not, our next scheduled Public Board of Education meeting will be held Wednesday, July 20th, 2011, 7 o'clock p.m. at the high school. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Kaufman, Mr. Klein, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried, meeting adjourned.